I think one of the hardest aspects of God's love that we have to really fully comprehend is God's forgiveness. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One is, let's be honest, we have a hard time forgiving people. For some of us, we mistake the idea of forgiveness for the fact that we approve of the abuse that somebody did to us. And forgiveness is never about keeping yourself in an abusive situation. Sometimes we have a hard time with the concept of forgiveness because even though we may understand God's forgiveness of us, we don't really always translate that to other people. For example, I may be able to forgive you for something and you may be able to forgive me for something. But then when we see somebody else do something that we might consider to be a more heinous crime or sin, we have a hard time forgiving them. We call for justice for some of the wrongs that are committed, and I firmly agree with that. But do we want justice for us? Not really. I'd rather have grace for me. Maybe you should have justice, but grace, that's what I want. A lot of times that's why we have a hard time forgiving. Forgiving other people does not mean that we're going to reestablish a relationship with them. Forgiving other people doesn't mean that we are going to trust them. Forgiveness simply frees us from their abuse so that we don't have to deal with that anymore. Another reason I think forgiveness is hard for us is because the enemy of our souls wants us to continue to remember our faults. How many times have you asked God to forgive you for something, and a day later, a week later, whatever, a little voice inside you says, remember what you did? How can you be a Christian if you did that? Because the enemy wants to constantly remind you of your faults, even though God has forgotten them. Let me tell you this. Here's what I know. Whatever struggle you're going through right now, whoever has hurt you, whatever mistakes that you've made in life, God can forgive. And not only can God forgive you, but he forgets their sin, and he allows you to have the strength to forgive other people so that you can be free from the abuse and the bondage that they've put on you. God loves you, man. He loves you more than you can imagine, and he just wants you to know that. Hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing this with others. Love to have a follow. Have a great rest of your day.